Hello, I'm Annalouise, and today I'm going to be talking about participation or FFF. What do I mean by FFF? I mean flight, fight, or freeze. So the responses that habitually we have when we go into fear. And those words are quite strong. And so we can think about big responses around fight, flight, or freeze. But the truth is, we're having micro responses of fight, flight, and freeze throughout every single day. It just might be this tiny response of withdrawal, or perhaps going quiet, or perhaps going slightly defensive, or slightly aggressive, leaning into a situation. It's happening without knowing sometimes, and of course sometimes it is very obvious to ourselves, and it's really curious to get to know our flight it's not that easy to say flight, fight, or freeze response better, so that we can recognize when those micro choices are happening, those choices that are taking us out of current time. Because when we're in flight, fight, or freeze, we're less present, we're less here, we're less available to be open and receptive. Particularly, I want to talk about this choice of flight, fight, or freeze versus participation, and how we can choose to re-engage with the moment, feel more connected, feel more present, and feel more alive and vital in the moment. And so I'm going to tell you a little story in order to invite us into that territory. So the little story is, I was in a new country and I just camped on the land of people I didn't know very well. And I'd had an amazing day, but it had been quite an intense few days. And in the morning I woke up and I was feeling quite vulnerable, quite open. There was some fear present, just with the amount of new information I'd been receiving, plus a sense of tiredness. And I felt like withdrawing. So the flight response was activated within me. I felt like going away, finding some space to be on my own and regroup a little bit, get some rest. And that felt quite logical to me. It felt like it was supportive, it could be a supportive choice. And so I was like, yeah, this feels like a good idea. And then I'd made that decision, and within a very short time, my daily insight card came up on my phone, and the card was participation. And I was like, huh. It was the completely opposite of what that habitual response in me wanted to do. And I immediately got it. It was inviting me, rather than to step out, it was inviting me to step in. And I was like, okay, I get it, I'll step in. So I had been on this long walk and I came back and I met the person that I'd been camping on the land on the same land. And he was like, oh, I'm about to go and deliver some ingredients to a baker up the road. Would you like to come with me and see where they bake the bread and meet some other people? And I just went, yeah, that sounds great. So off we went. And of course, I started chatting to him more about different things and learning more about his life. And it was just really beautiful to get some more insight. And then I got to see this incredible traditional bread oven and all the bread being baked, and meet new people and incredible scenery. And after coming back, I was already clear that participation was the right choice. So stepping in and participating, it had made me feel more connected to the person that I'd been staying with. It had made me feel more safe because I was engaging and I was totally more present. I was feeling more comfortable, more relaxed, and more at home in the situation, more like I was belonging to the environment. And the day carried on like that. So later on, I decided to go for a swim in the lake. And again, that was like, for me, that was a participation in life. It was like, yes, I'm engaging in life. So I went to this amazing lake and I dipped my toe in the water and it was a bit cold. And I was just sort of waiting to get used to it, my toes dangling in the water. And then someone shouted at me from the centre, well, not the centre of the lake, but quite a distance away. And I waved, I wasn't quite sure who they were. And then I suddenly realised they were people I'd met the night before. And I was like, wow, how amazing. There's no one else at the lake. And the people that are swimming are the people I'd just met the night before. And so then I managed to get in the water and I swam over and had a nice little chat. And I had a wonderful swim. It felt so good to have a really good swim and also to reconnect with these people. And the next thing that I chose to participate with is I actually chose to reach out to these people and say, how do you fancy sharing some time playing instruments and sharing some music this evening? And they were like, yeah, great. So once again, I stepped in, I participated, and I had the most enchanting time hearing them play music, playing my guitar, singing, enjoying the nature. And then it didn't stop there. I came back to the land where I was camping and I camped a second night and spent more time with a family that was staying there and got to learn about their lives and just really inspired by their heartfulness and the way they were living their lives. So I got to the end of the day with all these experiences and more and really knew that participation had been the answer on that day rather than withdrawal. And I just felt so grateful. I felt grateful for my willingness to listen to the insight card. I felt grateful for all of the possibilities that I could step into. I felt grateful for being able to witness my own presence in the participation. And I felt grateful that my fear had subsided, my sense of isolation and wanting to protect myself had subsided, and I felt more part of this new environment that I had stepped into the day before. So how do we notice when we're going into fight, flight or freeze and encourage ourselves into a new choice? Perhaps we take each one in turn, right? So when we go into flight, so we might be choosing to move away, we might be choosing to withdraw, we might be excusing ourselves, we might be wanting to just curl up in bed maybe and not go outside. We could already be in our houses and just thinking, I don't really fancy going out. And I think in some ways it's the smaller the choice, the better in leading us out of this place. Last night, again, I was feeling a little bit like just withdrawing a little bit. And I was just like, I'm just going to go for a little walk. And of course, as soon as I stepped out the door and I started walking, it was like, this feels so good. It feels so good to be outside and walking. So I think sometimes the choices can feel like it's too much to do something big when we're going into flight, right? Because we've got a bit of fear. And so just making it a little choice, maybe, I just pop to the shop, or I'll just give someone a call, or I'll just get out of the house and do X. And then my experience has been that once I do that, the momentum takes care of itself. I don't know about you. Do you find that? Or do you perhaps you prefer to make bigger steps? I don't know. I'm curious. What do you notice that you often do? And so that's flight. And then what about if we do freeze next? So we've gone into freeze. So that could be, for instance, in a conversation and we are just not wanting to engage so much. Maybe we go a bit silent, or maybe we lose our words. Do you ever find that? Maybe it's something you experience, maybe you don't. Maybe you're like really talkative and so you don't experience that. Or maybe sometimes you feel uncomfortable in a new social situation and you go quiet. So again, I think starting with the small things really helps, right? Just being able to look around, see someone that feels good, safe to talk to, and perhaps just go and ask them a simple question. Or if we're out and about, just engage with people and ask really basic, simple questions to re-engage and to come out of freeze. And if it's freeze within a non-social environment, my sense is that movement can be so helpful. So we want to like freeze, we want to not move. Doing some light stretching, doing something called Feldenkrais. I don't know whether you've heard of that, but a light movement, gentle movements, perhaps even putting some music on and seeing if our bodies want to dance. Really just inviting ourselves into some physicality, into some movement, into some sounding, into some sort of engagement. It might even be just turning on the TV or turning on the radio. So anything that takes us out of this real sort of the stuck freeze response, right? The like not wanting to engage, not wanting to move. And then lastly, the fight. So fight for me can have two components. It can have the component which is sort of defensive fight. So it's like we're putting our guard up. Maybe we're blocking conversations or ideas. Or it can be more like forcefully fight. And for me, when I notice that in myself, I just open and feel the part that's triggered and give it some space. And actually, sometimes my best way to deal with my fight response is to withdraw a little bit, and just take some time, just go, you know what, I'm noticing I'm being a bit triggered, I might just need to go away and take some time just to be with the intense feelings that are here and take some space before coming back and re-engaging. There are so many different ways of approaching this, and it doesn't really matter, right? I think what's true is any new choice is opening up new possibility for us, and any conscious choice is expanding our possibility and sense of consciousness in a situation. So I'm curious to know how you navigate this territory and how you navigate coming back into greater presence, coming back into greater connection, coming back into a greater sense of being here now and not in a fear response. So do please put your comments below. I'm fascinated to hear them, and it helps us all to share. And if you want to share this video with anyone that you feel it might resonate with, someone that it might touch or that it might help in any way, please do share it, and do subscribe to the channel and press the little bell for notifications, and press like to support the channel. I'd really appreciate that. That's helpful for me. And if you want to hear more about my work, go to www.resonating.love and you can subscribe to my newsletter. And I wish you a wonderful time exploring the sense of participation when our habitual response is something different, and seeing what happens and seeing what miracles might unfold in our lives. So much love and light, and wishing you a wonderful day.